Holy cow. Well, welcome everybody to Discontinued Now What Livecast. We are very, very excited. This is something super duper new for us. And you know what? We're taking the chance. We're taking the chance because it's 2025 and we're excited about the new things. And yeah, super stoked, super stoked.
Absolutely. So on this first inaugural live stream, to multiple spots, we're going live, hopefully, on DCNW's Instagram account. And at this point, we're going live also on Lightworker Path's YouTube, because I do have a few subscribers that also like to catch the podcast. So we're doing that right now. We're going to expand as we can. You know, we're learning the tech as we go and growing, so bear with us. So let's check and see. Can you see if it's live on your Insta?
Let's see. I don't believe that it is. Because it would say live, right? A little circle and it says live.
Indeed, it should. And you hit the go live.
Oh, hold on.
It's live here.
Okay, it's live on you. It's maybe now it should be live on me. I think there's a delay.
There is a delay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. I think so.
You know what? Let me check on my phone. Hey, guys, if anybody's in here, we love you. And we're working on this. It's going to get smoother and smoother.
Yes.
And every day in every way. What are those mantras that we say?
What are the mantras? I mean, we the small steps. I know we don't like to say small. We don't like to say just, but we're doing the steps, guys. We're doing the steps. We're learning the things. We're making things happen, and sometimes technology is
here we are.
Not so great, but hey, we're doing it.
It's working. There's us. That is the DCNW.
Yes, there you are.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. Sweet.
Rocking and rolling.
Oh, perfect. Awesome. Oh, yay. Okay, cool. Thank you so much. And I have to say a huge thank you to the lovely Jamie Wareham. Oh my goodness. She knows the things and the Steph, you got to press the button. Steph, you got to copy and paste. Steph, you got to hit the go live button. Oh yeah.
Go live button.
Go live. But
I'll tell you what,
we're doing it. I'm excited.
I am going to share the YouTube out to the socials right now just to make sure it's seen. Let me see here. I'm going to have to mute it, of course, because there'll be double time.
Yeah.
Oh, there I am. All right, let's get this out here and let everybody know. We're going to have some systems in place going forward where we're announcing.
Definitely are. This is a real, true live. We're out here, and we wanted to make sure. Well, Jamie wanted to make sure, because me, I'm like, no, we'll just do it on Instagram. She's like, oh no, girl. No, we gotta do it and share it to the world and all the things. And I was like, okay, you know how to do all that. I do not. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are looking for somebody to help you with all these things, Jamie Wareham is the gal.
I would absolutely love that.
Yes.
I mean, I tell you, it can be a little hairy, but once you do it successfully, once you got it down and you can repeat the process, and we love that. So I am sharing this on out, and I'm going to put it in my Facebook group as well, just to get some people around here.
Yeah, let them know what we're doing. We're doing some things.
Questions for us.
Yes, and I do have some questions that we got from some of our fantastic, amazing listeners. And we definitely want to get to those. But I wanted to check in with you. How have you been doing? What's going on? Give us a skinny. We'll get to the questions in a second. We want to make sure that we're all good here. Get the energy flowing, baby.
How have I been doing?
Yeah.
I have been doing great. I've been excited about this live stream. It's been in the works for a minute now. So yeah, and last night was the new moon in Scorpio, I believe. Yes. And so that's an action.
Scorpio or Aquarius?
Aquarius. Was it Aquarius? It was one of the action takers.
Yes, it was. I think it was Aquarius. Yeah, because it was new
Scorpio
moon
in my brain.
I don't know. Interesting.
No, but it was indeed. Yes, but either way, it's an action taker one. And like in business, they say action takers are money makers, but I like to say action takers are progress makers.
Oh, I like that. Yes,
because it's a little about the money, of course, obviously, but also about our personal progress.
Sure.
As we go through everything in life, from grief to, just our wellness journey, our, educational growth. Sometimes we want to learn new things, or perhaps, how this entire podcast got started. DCNW, guys, is Discontinued Now What? Do you want to tell any of the new folks on here?
No, for sure. Yeah. We kind of do a little reintroduction, if you will.
Let's do it.
Yes, guys. If you guys have not listened to us before, so as Jamie was saying, so I have been working with Jamie since 2019. I know we're kind of figuring out month-wise, but I know the year was 2019 because that was about 2 years or so, a little bit less than 2 years after Dirk had passed away. And it was a time that I didn't know what to do. He took his life in 2017, and my stepson overdosed the year before. And it's not to take that into account or anything like that, but it was something that was like, there's no handbook for grief, guys. You know what I mean? There's no handbook. There's no like, hey, this is what you do after this happens. This is what you do after that happens. Everything, every situation, and it was so interesting because, and my mom's heavenly birthday was yesterday. So I was literally thinking about this, and I was saying I was thinking I was so prepared for her to transition because I had dealt with, with loss already, passing of people that I love so very much. I've done that, I've checked that off the list kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Or so we
think. It is just, so we think. You're like, oh, I've done that. I know what to do, because I am a lady who likes, structure and everything to go in certain ways. And if this, then this, that is been my personality since I was a very young girl. And it doesn't work that way. And for me, it was very, very difficult. And I was like, okay, now, like, what do I do now? Now what? And my sister came up with that name. She's like, how about, DC'd or something like that. And I said, DC'd. She's like, yeah, because DC'd is discontinued. We come from a medical background. I was doing medical device sales. She's in medicine. Our whole families are kind of some which way in medicine. She's like, when they discontinue a drug, it's DC'd. I'm like, she's like, and that's they're Christian, DC. I was like, I go, discontinued, now what? And she's like, that's it. I'm like, yep, that's it. Because that's what it is. Like, that life is now no longer what you thought it was going to be. So you're grieving that life, whatever that life is. And you're grieving the person, you're grieving, the things that you thought you were going to do,
the dreams.
The dreams and we hate this word, that expectation.
That E word, I mean? That dirty little word.
And I don't know. I think you and I were in session a couple of times, and, you had gotten offered to write in the book.
Indeed.
The voyage and the return, the path to self-discovery. Jamie was invited to write into the book. And then Jamie invited me, and I was just like, I don't know if I'm ready. And I think the deadline had passed or something like this. And
I'm like, it can still happen. You can still do it. Trust me. I got you an in. This is going to be good.
Yeah.
Because it's scary for the both of us, but at least we can ride this road together.
For sure.
And that was before the podcast or anything.
Way before.
Yeah.
It was definitely way before. I had been listening to podcasts for so long, and I was just like, I go, maybe there's an opportunity, or maybe there's something that we can do, or I don't know, because that was the whole thing for myself. At least I was listening to all the podcasts about, widows and grief and losing, somebody in your life and stuff. And I know I always try to change the words, but for this kind of explanation, I was just like, okay, well, what, I don't want to listen to this. Like, this is kind of making me sad. Like, this is really, I understand it's heavy stuff. We're going through it. You know what I mean? We're going through the sadness, the anger, the resentment, the happiness of, like, what am I doing now? Like, am I allowed to be happy? Am I allowed to date? It's like these crazy thoughts that come into our heads as somebody who has, lost a partner, that a lot of people don't talk about, you know what I mean? And that are sometimes a little afraid to talk about, and myself included, and I was like, we got to have something that, there's, women that are, my age, younger, older, whatever, that are going through these, moments in life that we don't have a platform. We don't have access to discussing this because it's taboo. It's like, oh, you're young enough, you'll get married again. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, give me a minute, dude. Like, so I wanted to, do something with it and help the people, even if that people is just me.
That's the thing. These things, the most, I think, my perspective, important things we can do in life are things that help us grow as well. A lot of focus is put on making money, making cash. I'm going to do something that makes a lot of money. You may hate it. I think it's an old way of thinking as well.
Yeah.
But if you are tuning in now, or you have been tuned in into finding your soul's purpose, what feeds your soul, which makes you want to wake up every day feeling refreshed, these are the focus points there. And when it's one of the most important things you can do is to heal yourself in whatever passion and pursuit that you're doing. Even if it's painting can be so healing. It doesn't have to be a podcast, guys. You can do anything like that.
Yeah, definitely. And that was one of the questions that we got, how do I find my life's purpose? And I think even for myself, even until this day, that word, that purpose, sometimes it feels like such a big word, such an expanding word. I'm like, I go, what is that one thing that I need to do? I grew up of, you go to school, you become a doctor, you go to school, you become a lawyer, you go to school, and you do X. You do that one thing. You don't do, 50 million things like I'm doing now. You know what I mean?
There's line.
Yeah. That's
you follow this, and this is guaranteed the pot of gold at the end, and all will be well. And that is not the way the world works these days. There's all these things attacking that path. For sure.
And I think that was, for me, even still, sometimes I talk to you about it, offline. I'm just like, I don't know. Should I do this? Should I do that? And yes, I should myself sometimes. I don't like it, but
so
it's so messy. It's so messy, but it's real life. Like it is real talk, and I think, when people ask like how do I find that? I think it's important to kind of reflect, like, what really truly makes you happy. What is it that you're, passionate about? What is it that what is your story? When we talk about stories all the time, and I think that's really important. And I've even spoken with you about the stories and stuff, and it's hard. It's hard because we tend to put ourselves out there, and then sometimes we don't know how much or how little to put out there. And would it be the best idea for me to discuss this? Would it not be the best idea to discuss this? But I think at the end of the day, it's like, you are going to be you. You know what I mean? And I always think back of when I met Phil Rosenthal. Have you ever guys seen Somebody Feed Phil? It's not a plug for Phil, but I love Phil so much. So it's on Netflix, and it talks about places he travels and, restaurants that he goes to and all this stuff. And I was like, he's like such a character on the TV, I'm like, he's just like so fun. I hope that he's like that in real life. I literally said that randomly. And he ended up doing a kids book with his daughter. And he was here in Decatur at the Decatur, the little bookstore here in Decatur. And I met him, and he is exactly as he is on TV. Just no reservations, no qualms, just super happy and just this beautiful energy. And I remember having a conversation with him. We were the last ones there and stuff. And his father had just recently passed. And I just talked to him, and I said, I go, I want to give you a real big hug, because I really know how tough it is to lose a parent, and it doesn't matter how old you are. He started crying. I started crying.
Oh, you really had a moment with this.
And my partner was like, "Why were you guys crying?" I was like, I'll tell you later.
It is very hard to be able to explain that in the right way to someone who hasn't experienced it. I mean, it touches things that we don't have words for, but in our eyes, we can recognize it. Yeah. And it's an unspoken acknowledgement. Sad but beautiful understanding that you can't just explain into someone else.
Yeah. No, indeed.
It's a club that's not fun to be a part of, but
it's definitely not.
Definitely an insider's club.
Mm-hmm. It definitely is. Yeah. And it's I'm gonna say it. It kind of sucks to say that, and it's hard for others to understand who have not experienced that. And but I think that's it's okay. It's unfortunately it is inevitable. This is life. And it's and my girlfriend was telling me one time, she's like, her father had passed away. She was maybe in her 30s, early 30s, or it was late 20s. And she was talking to a therapist, and she said, yeah, our bodies are not recognizing like that kind of phase of life. That phase of life for us is typically down the line, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, when that's quote unquote supposed to happen, like the natural kind of trajectory of life. And we're not used to kind of having to deal with that phase so early. And I said, man, that's a really interesting and kind of true concept of like what we're actually going through. We go through things a little bit earlier than, losing a partner, that usually happens when we're 80 or 90 or whatever it is, you know what I mean? And losing them when we're in our 20s or in our 30s, it's like, wait, I can't compute that. That's supposed to be down the road, not like right now. You know what I mean? So that was a really, really interesting way of how she put that. And I said, yeah, our brains are not accustomed, but I don't think really prepared in any which way. But I think in that, for like that phase of life, the things come earlier and earlier for us. So I thought that was really, really interesting.
Yeah, I had never anticipated losing my mom in my 30s. Like that was, I figured there's still a whole bunch more to go, a lot more to share with her, because I had a whole lot of growing to do. And some of my best moments have come afterwards, and I have my own way of sharing them, but I would love to pick up that phone.
Of course.
And I still, on occasion, this happened more, in the first couple of years, but I still, on occasion, I don't know where my brain goes, but my instinct is to pick up and call her to tell her something. And it's a real moment, because I have to reel it back and go, wait, where am I? What? She's not here. Like, why? And then I go all in my head, and I'm like, well, why did I go there? Like, how did that? I know she's not here, but it comes from a place that I can't explain right now. Honestly, I haven't quite figured it out. I just know I've experienced it a couple times, and logically, I know she's been gone since 2011. But it'll still catch me, and that's where my heart wants to go, because I'm excited and proud of something I did.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And that's normal. You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't, sometimes don't understand that. And I'm just like, well, this is, I want to call this one. I want to call this person. I want to call whoever, whatever. But it's because it's that I don't know, I'm not a physician, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist or anything like that. But I feel in my experience, I think it's just because it's that just deep connection that you have with somebody, whether it's familial, whether it's, romantic or whatever that is. It's like that deep connection that you will always have with that person. I think that's really, really important for us to kind of also take into account, because I know, for me, I've had experiences when I would have, pretty serious relationships and stuff like that after Dirk, and questions would come up like, sometimes I feel that I'm always going to be compared to them. I'm always going to be compared to him, or I'm not going to meet that standard that you have, that you had with Dirk, that, that I can't fill that void for you. And for me, it kind of like hits a couple of different ways. I'm like, well, I'm not asking you to fill that void. That's more on you than me. But I'm like, honestly, and I had this conversation with my partner now. I said, this is always going to be a situation. I was like, whether you date somebody that's lost a partner or not, whether it's me or somebody else, this is always going to be a thought in your head, because it would be a thought in my head. You know what I mean? I'm never going to compare to, their loved one that passed away, their partner or whatever. You know what I mean? So I get where you're coming from. I was like, but you have to also understand, like, that was a huge part of my life. And it was something that really shook my core. Yeah. And I talk about it in a podcast, for God's sake,
Another side note to that is you are attracted to that person for who they are, not in comparison. There was something unique about this, I'll say new person, just to get it clarified with new versus person not here. So, let that shine. Like if it's me, you know what I mean? They were attracted to a quality that I had. So I don't want to dim that and be the mirror of the other person and try to fill that exactly, because no. Yeah. I don't know what else to say, but no, don't do that. Let your light shine. Perhaps there are ways that the partner mentions they were supported before, just in casual conversation. You might put that in a little note back in the back of your head and say, okay, she value, whoever value this sort of love language or this sort of thing. So you note that, because they're sharing something like that, but you can't mold into you could never do it anyway. So
no, never.
The light that attracted them to you in the first place. So that's just a whole nother side angle of this that came through.
No, and I know, and I love that. I love that you say that, because I think, even sometimes when I'm in situations and I've had, past experiences and stuff with relationships, and that's a great point, because I think in me, like person who has lost a partner, saying this to, potential new partner or somebody that I'm seeing or whatnot, or whatever you're seeing, I think saying that is exactly what you said, is voicing that I value this, I like this. But I think it also takes a certain person to, or maybe a strong person, I don't know what the word is, but a stronger person to kind of read between the lines, because I say things and I try to kind of weave in the meaning without like bluntly saying, okay, this is what I need, this is what I want, this is what it is. That I just sometimes I don't know if it's a fear thing. I don't know if it's a kind of getting jumbled in the words thing. Who knows? And maybe it's do I really want that? Am I ready for the answer? Like, who knows what it is. But I think that's a really important thing for us to kind of recognize too. I really like that you said that, because I never really looked at it that way. These are the reason why I'm saying certain things, is because this is what I value, and this is what maybe I'm used to. Can I say that?
You can say used to, but that's not necessarily a good thing. We can be used to stubbing our toe. We don't like it. We don't want to continue it. We don't want you to put the furniture in the middle of the room.
Got it. Got it. So choose your words, guys. Choose your words.
I'm here to insert the humor in the podcast.
I'm like, can I say that?
I mean, you can.
I can. I just recommend it.
But yes, in ways that it really felt good when I was supported in this way, or something like that, and tie it to the feeling as opposed to the person, so that they don't get a little in their head. It's
Got
best.
it. Yeah.
Because
dating's hard in general. Like, dating's hard in general, whether you were married before, or your partner's gone, or whatever the case may be. Like, dating sucks. Like, it's tough. It's tough. So I love that you're saying, kind of how you say things or how you express things is really important, because I think that's also one of my things to learn.
Yeah, we're always growing in that way.
Yeah,
I'm definitely not perfect. I have learned the trick of connecting it to my emotion as opposed to another human. Same with manifesting, connecting it to the kind of feeling I want to have, regardless of who it is or what the object is. This is what I want to embody. So we can use that for everything. Just saying.
You have been saying that to me for, I can't tell you how long. Guys, she has been saying, it's when you're manifesting, it's the feeling, it's the feeling, it's the feeling, it's the feeling. I mean, I don't know how many more times she could say feeling when manifesting in the same sentence. But for me, that literally, Jamie, I'm not even joking to you, that just clicked right now.
Yay!
Just
we have a winner.
It just clicked.
Yeah. It can be used in so many different ways, and it depersonalizes and saves, when you're working in a relationship sort of thing, it helps them the other person not create resentment towards the past person. You know what I'm saying? Because you keep hearing, well, I'm not them, or I'm not, you know what I mean? And that's not fair. It's just little shifts in how you present it. You can get the same, but it's just taking the time to not create something in their brain that's going to cause resentment and stuff like that, but instead gets them inspired to connect and say, oh yeah, I have an idea how I can do that next week, and I'm going to, surprise them with this, or I'm going to start doing that now. And it's
I'm writing this down.
Making a safe, what?
I'm writing things down.
All right. Making a safe playing field is really important. It's not so, if you can make it safe, you can give each other permission to stumble through the words, because it's a safe zone. Yeah. Yeah. You make a pact, a pinky swear. Yeah. And say, okay, we're both not perfect, but we're going to promise in this discussion for the next half an hour, we're not going to take it personal. And if something bothers, we're going to see that and rephrase it and just practice. But knowing that you're outside of the 30 minutes, you're not going to take it and hang it over their head for the next 3 days, because that's not a safe space. Right. Yeah. So, and it takes some strength, right? And some confidence to say, okay, I promise I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And if something goes, you say, I promise I wasn't going to do that. Right. Inside your head, So yeah.
No, and I like that, because it's that safety is when we are able to express without that heightened emotion, or that anger, or that sadness, or whatever that emotion is that's there, that's just kind of bubbling up inside. When we feel safe, when we're calm, like we always say, when we're a little calmer, we'll make the decisions a little better. Like, the better decision is made when we're calm, when we're coming out of love, when we're coming from love, and not out of a heightened state of anxiety or fear or sadness or anything like that.
Not a reactive state.
Not a reactive state. Yes. So I think safety with me is the big word. Safety and freedom are really kind of big words for me. I've noticed that. So I've been working on how to kind of like feel not only safe in my own skin, but safe in what I'm doing and how I'm speaking. And I think, when it comes to also relationships, how we speak to others, is key, you know, it's
Yeah.
key. So they don't have that resentment, and they
Mhm.
don't have that.
Because that's
kind of
not
like
your end
clinging
goal,
over.
is not to hurt
Mhm.
them. It's to make the
Yeah.
progress and to
For
move
sure.
forward. So once we get out of our ego mind of wanting to be right or wanting them to acknowledge how much they hurt us, or some sort of ego-driven feeling, which is human. It takes a minute to work out of that stuff, especially if we had traumas or bad experiences, little T,
Yeah.
big T. It takes a minute, and it takes some maturity. And really having and honestly having that goal being a connected resolution. If that isn't the goal, you're not there yet. You got to work on some internal stuff.
Mhm.
And maybe, yes, they bit and created this reaction from you because it triggered a past trauma.
For
Maybe
sure.
they did start that, but it's our responsibility on how we react in that way, and if
Yeah.
that makes sense. How
No,
we react
definitely.
to that trigger. Do we take it and say, okay, this doesn't feel good? What is this pointing to? How can we now discuss how to not allow this to happen again, or try our best? Or you're going to bite back. If you're still kind of not in a place where you've worked on anything, you're going to bite back and try to get revenge, or,
Yeah.
retribution.
They did, yeah, they did this. They made me feel this. And again, it comes to feeling now that we're talking. They made me feel this certain way. I want them to feel that much times 10, you know? And
Yeah. So they never do it again.
Mhm.
And you know what? That never guarantees they'll never do it again. Them really fully understanding and truly caring for how you feel. It takes that too,
Yeah,
as well,
for sure.
so to
For
speak.
sure.
That's going to help it stop. Not figuratively beating them into submission. That won't work.
Mhm.
You take dog training. You can you beat a dog, they're going to become more aggressive.
Correct.
But
Yeah.
you show reward. It's reward-based training, and proud, and they're happy, and they good at physical response and stuff. It's basic stuff.
Yeah.
Just that.
Yeah.
You can apply it in a multitude of ways. But
For sure.
anyway, we went on this beeline over here.
No, but I mean, that's just how things go with us. We just kind of go.
It is. If you've
we
listened to
just
the
go with
podcast,
the flow.
we just kind of roll with it and end up with some very interesting things that come about.
Yes,
Lines and
for
stuff.
sure, for sure. Do we have time for one more question that we got in the from the peeps?
Absolutely. Let's do it. A couple questions.
All right,
I'm
cool,
okay
cool,
with
cool.
time.
All right, you're good with time. All right, sweet.
And if anyone's watching on YouTube,
yes.
Go ahead. I think I can see your comments. And perhaps Stephanie can see comments in Instagram. I'm not sure. I can't see hers, but I can see my YouTube one. So go ahead and pop questions in, and we're taking questions that we had on file that we've been collecting for a while. But we're open to new ones as well.
For sure. So this one was kind of interesting for me because I kind of thought it was in my thought process, it was kind of one and the same. So the connection between self-awareness and personal growth. So for me, I was just like, well, for me, that the personal growth is because I know that I'm self-aware. Like for me, it was like kind of, I thought they were kind of one and the same. I'm growing personally because I'm more self-aware of what maybe I didn't think I was before.
They aren't the same thing, but they tied together.
Okay. So
in my perspective.
All right. Give us a skinny. Give us a play. Because they're two different.
Well, one's a piece of the other, I think. Okay. So on my personal growth journey, one of the main things I would hit first is becoming self-aware. How am I treating myself? How am I treating other people? Am I putting the blame game to avoid dealing with my stuff? So that's a self-awareness. It's part of the personal growth. But personal growth can also be learning a new trade, or, taking yoga, or something like that. So it's a little larger in my perspective.
But kind of like that umbrella situation.
Yeah, like personal growth is this journey, and self-awareness is an important piece you start with, or one of the first things hopefully you start with. You may start yoga first and then end up with personal awareness saying, oh, I should,
I like yoga, or I can't stand yoga.
Or that. Yeah. But it's, in self-awareness is taking responsibility of how you both give and receive.
Okay.
Verbally, emotionally, psychologically, physically, perhaps.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. A little bit. A little better than what I thought I was thinking.
Yeah, because it's a piece on your personal growth journey, but there can be other pieces too. But hopefully it's one of the first pieces because it opens up all these other doors. You can't really have a lot of personal growth without accountability. No. Is that what the word was?
Self-awareness.
Self-awareness. Yeah. Because part of that process is really understanding how you affect the world, how the world affects you, how you present yourself. Again, awareness of how you talk to yourself. One of the big things when we started was changing our language with ourselves. But we didn't think about it. We weren't aware most of our life. We just said, oh, I'm such an idiot, stupid thing I did, blah, blah, blah. But the awareness opened up. It's like they just opened the curtain and you're like, oh, why am I talking to myself like that? Mm-hmm. Hey, Colby joined us. Hello,
hey, Colby. Literally. Hello. I love it.
Got to have him on as well someday here.
Yes, we got to get him on for sure.
My brother.
We're talking about it. And I had a question. So I think, a lot of people always kind of, think about like self-love and acceptance and stuff like this. So kind of for me, like, I don't know if it's lack of self-love or if it's, figuring out how to cultivate that or not cultivate that or what is it that I'm kind of doing that it's maybe not working or something like that. But in terms of like cultivating self-love, like how do you do it for yourself?
Oh,
is it the way that you speak? Yeah. Is it the way that you speak to yourself? Is it the way that you do things for yourself or kind of don't do things with other people? Like what is, like, I know you were saying it's evolved, I'm sure, right?
Yeah. First of all, I want to say hi to Trish and Colby out there. They've piped up to say they're listening and have been listening. Hey, guys. Hey.
Hi, guys.
Well, I tell you, back in the day, one of the first things that got me started on that was, being a Libra. Sometimes we fall into this. We just spoil the person that we love or are with. Mm-hmm. We want to give them just the best experience, sometimes planning out these crazy romantic nights or adventures or, finding the very best present that is going to be the best. And I had an awareness of like, well, hey now, what about me?
Yeah.
And it was that I feel like, if I remember, because it's been a journey, that was one of the first things I noticed. And I had a moment. I wasn't so happy about it. I got a little fussy about it. But once I got my fussy out, I started saying, okay, well, what is this talking about? It's talking about self-worth. So I went on this journey of worthiness. And through that, I learned how to take care of myself a little better. And I'm still growing in that respect. I still have to catch myself. Yeah. I think it was one of my karmic lessons. It was such a big one. But you look at me, 20 years ago, and now, different animal. I gave 110% to the other person.
Yeah.
Whether it's family, romantic, whatever. And I left nothing for myself, hoping, and I say that very sadly, hoping that I would get a smidgen back. So by feeling and having the curtain pulled on the emptiness there, I said, okay, I got to fill my cup. I got to learn how to fill my cup. I got to work out some of this stuff, and go on my worthiness journey and reclaim my power. So that I started treating myself to little happies and things. I go buy myself the nice chocolate. I know. I like chocolate.
It's curious for me because you're
expensive stuff.
saying this, right? You're saying all these things. and I think for me, it's finally now at 42. This last year in 24, I was just like, I go, what am I doing? I was filling and giving and giving and giving. And for me, not giving with expectation, I think giving because that's my nature. That's how I was raised. Like that was the way that we did things. We have to have the extra snacks for the guests. You know what I mean? Like that was instilled in my brain. You know, we got to make sure that people are when they're here, they don't leave hungry. You know, that was always the process for me. And I'm just like, you know, I do a lot for others, and I'm not doing enough for myself.
And that's the key. Extra snacks is fine as long as your tank is full and you're feeling good. But if in some way you're feeling empty, you got to take a look at that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was definitely
I think if
something.
we're honest with ourselves, there's a lot more of us out there that if we're perhaps a little afraid to look inside and find out if there's an empty or not, you know, because you're afraid of the darkness it might bring up. But let me tell you, it doesn't have to stay dark. Let it just be illuminated and data. That's my favorite thing. Hey, Jess. Jess is in here.
Hey.
Jess is from Mystic as well. But so let it be illuminated data. I like to take the emotion away from it. It has worked for me. Maybe it doesn't work for everyone, but that's my trick to not fall so deep. And I do have throughout the year, I'll have some quiet moments, lower moments. I'm not going to call them dark anymore because I have enough tools in my tool belt to prevent that. In dark, I hate to use the word or overuse the word depression or thing, but you know, I say little darker moments, little that sort of thing.
Not as illuminated. Yeah.
So I take the time and say, okay, this is data. What can I do with it when I feel better? Maybe I have a good night's sleep, eat a bunch of chocolates, have a good night's sleep, wake up tomorrow. How can I do this? You know, it's okay to spoil yourself a little bit when you're in the low, just for a day, but just don't stay there. See the data, work on the things that got you there. Perhaps journal them down and say, okay, you don't know where to go from this. Okay, start 3 days ago. Okay.
Yeah.
This happened. Oh, this happened. And it really kind of made me feel a certain way. Then these two things happened and really sunk the ship, you know, but in there is data on things that you can personally and emotionally work on to going forward, not fall there anymore. Instead of just saying, this is how I am. This is a situation I have to live with forever.
And I really like that you say that because it's you might get there, but not staying there for days at a time, weeks at a time, months at a time.
We're only human. We're going to, and we've had every single one of us is literally like a snowflake, right? We're unique. We've had different things happen to us, different environmental stuff, physical stuff, nurture stuff. We're all this unique combination. So there's no one path fits them all sort of thing. Yeah. So we're going to run into stuff, allow ourselves to be human. And maybe we need a little minute, an afternoon or a day to just go dark, quiet. I mean, like off social media, by the way. That's what I'm talking about. Or just have quiet time and say, I'll get back to you tomorrow. Or just not get back to them. And sit and have that moment, but then move forward the next day and say, today won't be like yesterday. Yeah. What can I do? One thing or two things to change my energy?
Because it's tough. And I think that's really important that you're saying, you know, the tools in your tool belt. A lot of us don't have that. And I think it's really important, especially for us. The reason why we keep doing the podcast every week and we try to post as much as we can and all this information and discuss all this information is because, you know, we were also in a place at one point that we had, okay, what do I do with this feeling that I have, this anger, this sadness, this thing, like, when is it going to go away? You know, and that's what we think, like, oh, it'll just go away. Like, I'm not going to be sad anymore in a year.
Not everyone thinks so. And that's the difference. You have to want it to be better. Mm-hmm. And, you know, folks may shoot the messenger here. You have to want it to be better.
Yeah.
there are states of mind where people get in, and it's more of a victim mode thing. And I know we don't like that word, but that is technically what it's called. And this is me. I claim this. This is the way I am. Yeah. You're not wanting to change, because sometimes even the painful stuff is more comfortable than something you don't know, a change that you don't have a predicted outcome for. So we have to have
normal state. Yeah. That's that normal state that we've been living in for so long. Yeah.
It's why some people don't leave other people that are verbally abusive or something like that, or oppressive in some way, because it's the known enemy. Mm-hmm. You can predict it. You've learned how to maneuver around it. But hey, guys, that's not life. That is not the life that you are meant to have. You're meant to be inspired and creative and a unique light. And yes, I'm getting a little about it, but I mean it. I'm serious. Jess is like, oh, girl, preach.
But it is true, and it's having that
have to want
partner, that friendship, that tribe, whatever, that surrounding, that community. We always talk about community. That community.
It's very important to do. You can't do it alone. It's too hard.
No, it's too hard. It's too hard, and you're second guessing things, and like, oh, I can do this. I don't need to do that. I don't need to do that. And, and then I have, the mirror that is Jamie Wareham sometimes, and
I'm like, girl, no, that's my text.
No, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Nope. I'm like, yeah, I guess, yeah, okay, maybe you're right.
yeah. And vice versa. I get words from you say it differently, but it always makes me giggle when you say stuff. I'm just kind of blunt, like, no, girl, stop. But you say, I can't think of it, but it's funny.
I try to be eloquent and graceful, as nice as I can.
It's usually like, oh, mama, no, or something. It's
girl.
Yeah. There's a few things you've said before. I don't know. Anyways, point is, it's funny, and that's how I get reached, as opposed to, it works well that way. But we bounce things off each other like that. And it's very important, whether you're learning spiritual stuff, you're learning some growth points personally, psychologically. It's all tied in, guys. By the way, P.S. News break here. All of it's tied together. And if you try to separate it and just work on one and leave the other one, we're not going to touch that. You're not going to have the well-rounded growth you're looking for. But it doesn't always have to be scary. I will also say that. You cannot work on your spiritual growth without working on your psychological situations and emotional stuff. You can't put that in a basket in the back drawer and just work on your spiritual stuff. There will come a time and a place you got to work on it. And vice versa. All that can be mixed around and flip-flopped. It's a whole thing.
It is, for sure.
But,
and I remember at one point I was just like, I go, oh, I don't have to, I don't have to touch that right now. I don't even have to.
Oh, that used to be so funny back in the day. You're like, yeah, we're not going to do that right now.
Yeah, we're not doing that today.
I'm like, oh, okay, we'll see. I used to giggle a lot in the beginning, because I'm like, okay.
I was very resistant, guys. I mean, that's.
Well, she did it with a smile. It was hilarious in session. She's like, yeah, no.
I'm like, because of the fear, the fear of the unknown. And I think this is something that a lot of us, are sometimes experiencing now, experiencing in the past. It's like that fear of the unknown. It's like, I don't know if I want to get into that right now. I don't think I'm really ready.
So,
you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And I loved in the beginning, you were just looking for a blueprint. You're just kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
Colby's like, into the unknown. Okay. I can almost see him going, oh. Yeah, in the beginning, you're like, all right, we got some time here. What are the 5 steps I need to do to heal from all of this?
Uh-huh.
All right, yeah. And we'll be good. And I'm like, oh, no. That's not how this works. People want to talk to you upstairs. No, this is not going to, no.
Yeah, that's even sometimes even still, I'm like, I go, how many weeks we're talking about?
I know. And I'm like, Silence fills the room, I text.
Yeah. It just, it's because again, guys, used to a certain way of the, this for this for this, the path is this way, the path is that way, the path is that way, and it's not like that. And then I think coming into, an age where you're realizing, okay, it doesn't have to be just this or just that. It's everything and a bag of chips and all of it together mixed in with a whole bunch of stuff
And some sprinkles.
And some sprinkles. And you just, pull from what you are. Okay, I'm going to add this to the bag. I'm going to add this to the bag and keep it around. So when you're coming into that spot or when you're feeling a certain way, you have something to kind of get that emotion out, whatever that emotion is. If it's journaling, if it's painting, if it's walking, if it's music, if it's chatting with your besties, whatever that is to kind of help you fill your cup.
And it's unfortunately, there is no list that you can look on Google and just follow the list. This is an experiential journey. Mm-hmm. What's in your tool belt, or Stephanie or someone else may give you a bunch of things to try. Maybe it gives you 10 things and 5 of them work great for you. The other ones don't do all that much. They don't go in your bag right now. Yeah. So, but you don't know unless you try them. So as these things come up in life, you say, okay, well, I learned to try this and this. Let's see what's going to work this time.
Yeah.
And I always talk about the journal of writing, okay, this worked, this didn't work. This is how I felt, things like that. So you can make yourself a science project. Mm-hmm. And things. Colby mentions one of the best things is to watch someone let go of resistance and realize you actually know a little bit about what you're telling them. It is a beautiful thing. It is.
Totally.
It's like a light bulb goes off and you're like, hallelujah, hallelujah.
Yeah.
Like,
totally.
It only took 3 years. It's happening. But from there, they just, it's like they just finally, and for me, I know that my mentor, when I started out, I'm sure she pulled her hair out quite a bit. I wasn't the best and I didn't follow direction and I want to do what I want to do. And she caught me at a time on purpose where I was, my mom had just passed. I didn't care about anything. I felt like an orphan floating in the wind, like I had no direction. I'd stay up all night for 3 days, play guitar, like nothing seemed to matter.
Yeah.
And to take that hot loving mess and mold it into what y'all are experiencing today, this pleasantness. I'm just kidding. But not really. There was a lot of resistance that I had. I didn't want to journal. I didn't want to go to my weekly meetings on Skype at the time because we didn't have Zoom.
I was like, I feel good. I'm not going to go in today, or I'm not going to go in this week. I'll catch you next week. You're like, okay.
I can't force you, but I think many folks have learned that you don't just go when it already hurts. Because some of those times when you had like all of your chakras are aligned, you're ready to roll, you were able to then, with perfect energy, go on out to have these interesting experiences. But if myself and the guides, and we're talking about sessions, guys, if you're new to this, if we're spending all our energy getting your energy right, there's less that we can push out for you to have some new experience or some new information or something like that. So that's actually a great time to go is when you're feeling good, because then you can have the other stuff.
Yeah. And I was never really, I was like, no, it's no. It's very resistant, very hesitant, because I was like, there's no way. There's a way. It's a way.
It's a way, and it will haunt you in a good way. It will show up when you're at the bookstore. It'll show up when you're shopping for home items. Boy, you just get bothered by Egypt all the time.
Oh my gosh, yes. Every time I'm at Home Goods or somewhere, or using the restroom at some random bookshop, and I'm just like, oh hey, okay. I literally will snap a picture and send it to Jeremy.
They're knocking again. Yeah. Colby's like, resistance is futile.
It is definitely.
All right, I think we have time for at least one more question, if that's okay with you, and then
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay. Let's see here. What else did I find on these? So effective habits for self-improvement was another one that kind of kept on coming up. For me, I don't know. It's tough because every day is different. For me, definitely for habits, I have done for sure this year a couple of things that have kind of, I think, maybe calmed me down of like, okay, this is the kind of the path that I'm going is correct. Doing the oracle cards in the morning and going through my day of what needs to be done, and I was not doing that before. I was not into the extent that I'm actually doing it now. I don't know if it's because it's not the journal, because I got a basic journal, girl. I was like, no, it can't be the fun journal. Maybe right now I need a basic journal. But I think just wanting to go that next extra step and getting to that next level. Yes. I think that's like when we always talk about and we always hear consistency is key. Saying it is one thing.
Agreed. Yeah.
But actually you doing it for yourself, different animal.
It is. Yeah. It is. And I'm like, just try it. And for me, I can listen to audiobooks, and I'm stubborn because I'm, typically busy and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. I haven't put it in play yet.
Yeah.
And the time I do, I end up kicking myself going, boy, it would have been a great idea to start this already because, boy, it's working great. But today's my day, and I start from here forward. I'm not shooting on myself, but I'm acknowledging perhaps next time I start faster with this new thing. We acknowledge and we take note and we just keep making improvements. But that's a good thing, consistency in whatever you're going to be doing, and give it some time. You can't try it for 3 days and say, well, this doesn't work. Give it some time, for Pete's sake.
Yeah, it does. It takes time. It takes time, guys.
Trish is like, I can either confirm or deny these allegations.
Yeah. See?
All right.
They know. Yeah. For sure.
Any other tips that are could be applied to any realm, like personal growth tips? I think that was the question.
I'm not sure. I mean, what is your? I'm drawing a blank right now.
You're trying to what? You're tossing me the football.
I'm tossing you the football.
All right.
The baton.
The pause.
Mm-hmm.
Stopping, coming back to the present moment, and seeing, okay, what am I doing in this moment?
Mm-hmm.
Is it in line with what I need to accomplish today? Is it energetically in alignment? Do I feel good, or I'm feeling some kind of way that's not good? Do I need to reevaluate? So taking the time to check in throughout the day with whatever you're doing, whether it's business work, spiritual stuff, emotional, whatever, across the board. Yeah. Taking the pause is important. Also, it's super important if you're about to get into an argument, if someone has just pushed a button, take the pause, because what you can't do is take your words back, right? But you can take a minute. And by the way, guys, there's power in the pause. That's something I never understood until the last couple of years. I'll be honest with you. I always had to respond, and felt like if I delayed my response, that showed me as weaker. Not true. You actually take hold of power when you just hold your face and you think, because then they're scrambling in their head going, what
is happening? Yeah.
Oh my God, what have I done? So the pause, it can help in a couple of ways. And I think for a very umbrella tip, that might be useful. Colby says, establish practices that are practical to your life that you can successfully do every day. Basically, keep it simple. That's true. Don't overcomplicate it, which is something I have in the past been
Same.
I'm like, oh, I can get a journal, but I can get a journal that does 50 million things at once, and I can log all of this. Girl, now you're not going to use it. I went back to the basic black and white one this year to try to train myself because I've been getting the cool one that you suggested, and I really love it, but I fell off the wagon a lot.
Same, and I believe that's why I did the same. I literally did the same thing, and that's why I was mentioning that I got a basic black and white journal, no zhuzh, no nothing, just basic. But it's for creating the habit and keeping that consistent, and then having that become the habit, and then I can zhuzh it up. You can always zhuzh it up.
Zhuzh it up. Get some stickers and sticky things and amazingness. But as Colby mentioned, it is so important to be able to make it doable. Yeah, it doesn't have to be with the next. Go ahead.
That you actually practice. Remember that word? Always.
Because it's an experiential journey, people. We can't just read it in a book and say, well, now I know all about this and I'm a master at this. There are folks that have taken, my Reiki level classes and they get to 2 and perhaps some at 3. But they don't put it in practice. So in theory, you are, a practitioner. And in theory, you're a Reiki master, knowledge base, and the access is open, but you have not worked it. So there's all these things in between that really make you more of a practitioner. These experiential things that you can log as part of your medicine, so to speak, part of the way that the guides speak to you, part of the techniques that come to you. Like all that stuff happens with experience. And I like to say, I learned like this much getting through my Reiki Master certification. And then the rest was working with clients, working with people. Oh, I learned things you can't find in a book that are personally gifted to me. That just starts your journey. So experiential, pulling it back. The Colby's like, preach.
I love it. No, and it's true because you're as you're practicing these things and as you're doing these things, you recognize, okay, this is going to work for me. This isn't going to work for me. Doing this kind of practice, works well, or this makes me super exhausted. What is it that I need to work on? That can make me not feel this way every time I do this type of way, or whatever the case may be.
And it's A-okay if your process does not work for me. I didn't fail in any way. It's just not the way for me. But it's interesting information. You find the way for you. Sometimes processes work for a group of people. It's, but sometimes they don't. So just don't think that you're failing in any way because you can't do it the way the book said or this teacher tried to explain it. Find something comparable that works for you and build on it.
Like I always say, everything that that others are teaching us is a guide, and it's up to us.
It's to get your brain working.
It's for us to kind of accept whatever piece of that information that we're going to take to move forward.
Yeah, I will say there's a little bit in there for certain topics and stuff. There's foundational stuff that I don't budge on, but outside of that. It's, I feel like some folks quit because their output doesn't look like the next person's. If they're stuck in the comparison mode, and personal growth is not a comparison game.
No.
Tweet that.
It is. I love it.
Tweet it. Yeah. I used to watch Super Soul Sunday all the time. And so Oprah would be like, tweet that, when it was a good line that somebody said. Yeah, it's not even Twitter anymore, but I digress.
And on that note, thank you guys for tuning in. This was our first live, and tune in for more goodies. We'll work on the promoting and all that jazz. But thank you guys for joining us. Whoever joined, Colby, Jess. Who else is on?
Trish. And, well, those are the ones that piped up on my end. And I will ask you to either subscribe to the Lightworker Path YouTube or DCNW's Instagram, YouTube, all of that. And you'll get notifications when we go live again. Most of the time we do pre-recorded podcasts and release them on Spotify, Apple Music, We're
all the platforms. Yep, we are everywhere. iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Audible. Yeah, there's the RSS feed is out there, baby.
Maybe Amazon
Music. Yep.
Yep, we're there too.
Mhm.
Thank you. Jess says great conversation. Trish says the live was fun. Thank you. Colby says bye, which is good from Colby. But yeah, follow us those places. So we have 3 years worth of podcasts on Spotify. So you can go back to the beginning and kind of see us when we were just new at this. And I know my voice was a little shaky, and sometimes I go back and listen and go, oh boy, I've grown.
Same.
But you know what? We can appreciate that and say, wow, I've grown, instead of, cringe situation.
Yeah. And that's all life is, baby. It is growing. That's it. Every day we grow little by little, step by step, 1% more, whatever, whoever you follow.
Community. Get some people around you, follow some people, listen to the podcast. I don't know. Join some of the groups that are positive and make you feel good and you feel included, because you can't do it alone.
Nope.
All right.
Sure.
I've said all I want to say. Subscribe. We'll see you next time. Thank you for joining.
All right, guys. Take care. Later.
Bye.